Hi there, I just wanted to give you a quick summary of the ingredient rounding tool that exists in Wholesum. You may have noticed that in some of your meal plans, you'll end up with certain ingredients that round in different ways. So for example, this 2.6 jars of pesto sauce. In many cases, that's not a problem for organizations to manage. They know when to round that up and when to round it down, or when to leave it just as it is. But in some cases, you may want to manage the rounding rules for your Wholesum account. And so a quick summary of how to do that. If I go to my settings, you will see this ingredient rounding section. And I can turn on the ingredient rounding. And what that does for me is it will allow me to come to my ingredients page. And you'll now see this column over here called round. And it allows me to choose for some ingredients whether I would like to round up, round down, or round to the nearest whole. So what this will do is essentially avoid some of those more awkward 2.4 spaghetti noodles boxes, and it will round it right up to 3. One quick clarification two quick clarifications that are important to note. One is that you'll see that it's not available for all ingredients. This is a tool really that's meant to manage those ingredients that aren't already quantitative in nature. So if you're already dealing with cups or pounds or those volumes and weights, it's not going to round those types of ingredients. If, however, you're dealing with packages or whole units, boxes, jars, those sorts of things, this is where the rounding can become really, really helpful, because you're dealing with discrete units that you don't want to have half of, for example. So that's where that can be handy. And then the second thing to point out is that there are actually 2 places where someone can round. So one is at the recipe details level, and one is at the shopping list level. So what that means is, let's imagine that we're talking about an onion in a specific recipe. It's asking, do you want to round at the recipe level? Meaning, if there's a partial onion in the recipe, do you want to round it up to a whole onion? Or do you want to round just at the shopping list level to say that if we've got 3.5 onions on the shopping list, just round it to 4, or just round it to 3, that sort of thing. If you'd like to turn one of these off to experiment with it, you can turn them off by clicking on them here. In general, I recommend keeping them all on, just so that we avoid any confusion there. But if that's causing too much trouble, you can shut the one off at the recipe details, for example. And if you'd like to see precise levels rather than rounded levels at the shopping list, you can turn it off there. So that's something to play with, as well as you figure out how to use your rounding rules. I hope that helps.